It's Spence, the evil genius, from Witch of the Laboratory with your lab secrets tip of the day. Well, today we've got a revisitation of an old tutorial. We showed last week or the week before how to change the default member avatar from the mystery man to something more interesting and applicable to your network. For example, over here on Lab Secrets, we use the lab rats because we think that's fun for you. Nah, not really. It's not fun for you, but it at least shows something different than the default gravatar of a mystery man. Now, Mike Henry over at Lead Change Group sent us this great tip he found, which showed how to actually change the option choices in your admin dashboard for picking this. What we had shown in our tutorial was simply how to swap out the default image that was already in your standard setup, but he got a method that he found on the internet that shows how to add a new function. Now, without getting fancy, when you go in your admin dashboard, I'm going to put this into layman's terms, you have a choice down below under settings for discussion, and there is where you can normally select the default avatar. Now in our tutorial, we just basically showed how to swap out the image file for the mystery man so that it showed whatever graphic you wanted to put as the default for your site. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to follow what was in the instructions Mike found for how to instead add a new option at the bottom so that you can go ahead and change the default gravatar as well as the fun little title here to remind you what it is. Now, none of this will be visible to your members. We're just showing you that by way of default, you're adding a new menu item for you as the admin to select from. If you have a multi-user site, if you're using that option, this will obviously show up as well for your particular people who are coming to the site. For most of the single users, this won't be applicable. So it's just kind of a nice alternative way, and we'll leave it at that. Now, how do we actually do it? Real simple. Remember, you've got the option here when you're using the admin dashboard to go ahead into the editor section. So I'm going to swap you over to this screen. If you go under Appearance, and you click on Editor, you'll be able to see the theme function file, which is called functions.php. Now, you can also use a third-party FTP program to access this, but since this is a real simple cut and paste job, you might as well use the built-in editor. So again, using Appearance Editor, you go over to select your theme, and in this case we're using the Headlines theme, the modified one called Lab Headlines, and you'll find something called Theme Functions. And when you open it up here, you're going to see the situation that we're seeing, which is we've got a bunch of code that is probably too much for most people to worry about. Never fear. All you're going to do is take this block of code here, which we'll provide in the show notes below, and you're going to paste it right at the bottom of your other functions. The only thing you need to be sure of is that you get it above that closing bracket, the question mark and end bracket. That way it'll be within the range of the top, the main, and the bottom part of this function. So what we've got here is some simple code, and basically all it's doing is adding a new filter into the menu selection that'll give you the choice of having an image file. Now what we did is we took inside of the theme directory, added a new image file called labratsgravatar.jpg. And you can call it anything you want, but whatever you do, you have to have it included in this particular directory called the images directory. And let me show you where that shows up. Let me open up here a new window. I'm going to use the Fire FTP, which is built in. We showed you this from another tutorial. Allows you to just automatically connect to your site on the back end. And I'm going to go over here to Content, Themes. So when I'm in my Themes folder and I select Headlines, you'll see here that I've got a folder called Images. And you'll have the same situation. And what I did is I dropped in a new image and I called it labratsgravatar.jpg. Now, when I go back over here to the dashboard and I save this new function by clicking Update, we'll be seeing that in our menu. The last thing you can do though is you can change just for fun, or if you have a multi-user site, and add the default wording that goes next to that as well. And when you're all done and you refresh it, you'll have this choice so that you or a multi-site member can choose it, click Save Changes, and that way it will appear on your live site at labsecrets.com. Again, quick and dirty tutorial, more in the show notes. This is Spence from labsecrets.com.